Part 3. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 21. Zhao Tong crossed his arms and rolled his eyes. That must be a starlet, I've never seen it before, maybe 18 lines. Looks like he's rich. Zhao Tong, heh, birds of a feather flock together. Who can Wenqiao know rich people? Isn't Lu Yuyu quite rich? Zhao Tong rolled his eyes to the sky. That's Lu Yuyu's self-willed depravity. Lu Yuyu grabbed her hair. Who the hell do you say is willing to degenerate? Zhao Tong struggled desperately. Lu Yuyu, why are you so brutal? You don't look like an art student at all. I don't look like an art student? You're always acting like an art student. I warn you, if you dare to say a bad word about Wenqiao, don't blame me for being serious. The rest of the people quickly smoothed things over. Okay, don't fight. Beside the stage, Fu Nanli touched Wenqiao's head. You play very well. The words of encouragement that Wen Jianmin said to Sulu were also said to her. Wenqiao is only a 19-year-old girl. No matter how cold she looks, she has a soft heart. When someone treats her so seriously, the tip of her nose will feel sore, and her chest will be full. She purses her lips and looks at him with a smile. Thank you. Waiting for you in the car in front of the school, come over when it's over. Good. Holding the bouquet, Wenqiao returned to the side screen and gave Sulu a provocative look. There are people who send me flowers, I don't need Wen Jianmin's flowers anymore. Sulu's face was not very good looking, watching Wenqiao pass by her and walk to the backstage. Being influenced by the wealthy family, Sulu felt that the man had a noble temperament, which should be just a superficial appearance. What rich man can Wenqiao know? Zhuangyan's face was also gloomy, and his gaze was fixed on Wenqiao. After Wenqiao and Lu Yuyu left the side screen, Sulu pulled Zhao Tong and said in a low voice, should I persuade Wenqiao? Could it be because of his money? Zhao Tong rubbed his neck. The 18th tier stars should not have much money, right? That's richer than Wenqiao. Zhao Tong's eyes widened. Aren't the 18th tier starlets able to adopt female college students these days? He's crazy. Backstage, 10 minutes later, Wenqiao's rating came out. The teacher held the card in his hand and looked at Wenqiao with a smile. Guess what your grade is? Wenqiao looked at the teacher confidently. I think I play very well, and I should be able to reach the S grade. The laughter was undisguised, and it came from Miss Zhao Tong, who whispered in her ears, the sun is still so high outside, what kind of spring and autumn dreams are there? Our Lulu is only A level, and she is delusional about S level, really laugh out loud. The teacher unfolded the card in his hand and said with a smile, Wenqiao, you guessed it right, it is indeed an S grade. Wenqiao felt relieved, and took the card in his hand. Thank you, teacher. The teacher patted her head. The teacher has always placed high hopes on you, and I still rely on you to revitalize folk music. Wenqiao nodded. I will not disappoint the teacher's expectations. After the teacher went out, Zhao Tong strode up to Wenqiao and snatched the handcard from her hand. Is it true or not? Just Tianqiao art, how can you still get the S grade? It's ridiculous. Wenqiao pulled Lu Yuyu back, leaned against the table, and lazily looked at the group of girls who didn't believe that she got the S rank, with contemptuous eyes. Zhao Tong unfolded it, and saw a huge S grade, and the three reviewers all gave the S grade uniformly. Sulu pinched the hem of her skirt tightly and bit the corner of her mouth lightly. How could this happen? It's not fair that Wenqiao's rating is even higher than hers. Shadow, Zhao Tong pointed at Wenqiao's nose first, and reprimanded him loudly. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 22. Wenqiao knocked her hand off. Laughing at my poor family, and at the same time making rumors that I cover the sky with one hand. Hey, can you unify your caliber? Who are you going to hum me? Can you figure it out before you talk? Zhao Tong gritted his teeth. Lulu is only A level. She has won so many awards, so she only got A level. Why do you get S level? Wen Qiao smiled. What does it mean? It means that you Lulu still need to practice hard for a while before you can catch up with me. He took out the hand card in Zhao Tong's hand, shook it, and smiled brightly. It's officially certified. Zhao Tong said indiscriminately, you are a fart. Wen Qiao smiled jokingly, I'm S level, you're A level, and I'm a fart, then you're not even a fart. Why are you so cruel that you even scold yourself? Zhao Tong was about to go crazy. Sulu felt that she had been connoted, and her eye circles were slightly red. Wen Qiao patted her on the shoulder, smiling casually, don't cry, or it will look like you can't afford it. After finishing speaking, he carried the piano bag on his back, and happily left the backstage with Lu Yuyu. Lu Yuyu's rampant laughter was extremely piercing in Sulu's ears. This was the greatest humiliation and irony for her. The things she was most worried about were happening one by one, and she seemed powerless to restore anything. At the entrance of the small auditorium, Wen Qiao had just stepped down 2 flights of stairs when she heard someone calling her from behind. Turning her head, Zhuang Yan in a white shirt leaned against the wall, staring at her. Wen Qiao turned a blind eye, took Lu Yuyu's hand, and continued to walk forward, but he grabbed his wrist. Stop. Wen Qiao broke free from his restraint, and looked at him coldly. Is there something wrong? Why are you so unloving? He saw the man's car, a Bentley, obviously rich. Wen Qiao. Either she was laughed at by Sulu or by Zhuang Yan. To a certain extent, these two people are actually quite compatible and a good match. None of your business. Ah, it's all Zhao Tong's fault, she said the fart just now, but she is not such a vulgar person who loves to swear. She is too lazy to explain. Anyway, her reputation in the 9th middle school has been extremely bad. When the news first came out, she was still stupid, explaining stubbornly, blocking Zhuang Yan's way with tears in her eyes, telling him I don't have a boyfriend, I don't have a rough private life, I don't have a messy style, I haven't even, have ever held a boy's hand. But what about him? He ignored her and let his followers, brothers, laugh at her mercilessly. The year-long school violence and his indifference had already chilled her hot heart. Wen Qiao and Lu Yuyu walked forward on their own, when Zhuang Yan's voice came from gnashing of teeth, are you so self-deprecating? Are you interested in his money? Wen Qiao still ignored him. Now this level of attack can't even hurt her. Zhuang Yan was irritable and depressed, and suddenly dropped the violin on his shoulder. That expensive violin, bought from Sotheby's auction house and worth millions, just fell to the ground. Sulu lost control and went to the bathroom. Wen Qiao's culture class has always been among the best, and now they have passed the interview with the highest grade. Obviously they are going to become alumni. It's the ending she hates the most. She was sitting in the compartment, and after a while, she heard the compartment door open, the sound of the faucet running, and the voice of a woman. Sister, what do you think of Sulu's child? Okay. It is said that she is a good match with our Zhuang Yan, and they often perform together. Zhuang Yan's mother and aunt came to watch his performance together, and it was obviously those two who were talking. There was a clear contempt in the woman's chuckle. Her? Forget it, she's just the stepdaughter of the Wen family. My mother used to be Wen Jianmin's secretary, but somehow she became a secretary. My father is a renter. Compatible with our Zhuang Yan? You think too highly of her. Huh? Such a poor background? Forget it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 23. Sulu gritted her teeth and clenched her fists. People in the upper class always thought they were right. For so many years, she thought she had already integrated into it, but she never expected that those people who smiled at her on the surface would secretly treat her belittled to nothing. It's the girl who performed at the end, Wenqiao. She is the most beautiful in the audience, and her temperament is outstanding. She is Wen Jianmin's biological daughter. But Wen Jianmin doesn't want them. It seems that he has ignored them all these years. That family is also the justifiable Miss Wen. Our family values status. The bathroom door opened and closed, and it became very quiet inside. Sulu's tears flowed silently. Why does this world treat her so badly? When Wen Qiao and Lu Yuyu walked to the gate of number 9 middle school, they saw a black Bentley parked under the sycamore tree. The window was half open. The man in the black suit had his back straight, his eyes slightly downcast, cold and alienated, and repulsive. The outside indifference demeanor made Lu Yuyu a little deterred. He is Fu Nanli. When Keela and Lu Yuyu walked to the side of the car, her smile was that of a 19-year-old innocent schoolgirl. I'm here, this is my best friend, Lu Yuyu. Fu Nanli's gaze shifted from the phone to Wen Qiao's face, and a handsome face that was so angry that both humans and gods magnified before her eyes, made Lu Yuyu a little speechless, before she stumbled for a while and said, Mr. Fu, hello, I often listen to Qiao mention you. After finishing speaking, he poked Wen Qiao's waist. Am I doing okay? Wen Qiao coughed lightly. Fu Nanli smiled socially, as if giving alms. The smile flashed by. Lu Yuyu was already dizzy by the handsome man, and she could still retain a trace of reason in the daze. Well, I won't bother you. Captain Fu's expression of not wanting her to be a light bulb was already very straightforward. She was very tactful, and she ran away immediately. As soon as Lu Yuyu left, Wen Qiao was about to get into the car when someone grabbed her neck. Wen Qiao, who is this? Why is his sister, who is so majestic in front of him, so obedient in front of this man? Wen Qiao's heart skipped a beat. She took Wen Kai's hand, and said in a low voice, Xiao Qi, do me a favor. Please don't expose the identity of the female man to Mr. Fu, please. What a turn of events. Wen Qi raised his eyebrows. I'll think about it. Seeing the hand hooking Wen Qiao's neck, Fu Nanli narrowed his eyes suddenly, his expression a little gloomy. Wen Qiao introduced, this is my younger brother. Fu Nanli's eyes lingered. Brother? Well, dear brother. Only then did the tense expression ease, and he nodded slightly, which was a very face-saving greeting. Wen Qiao lowered her voice and said to Wen Qi, sister still has something to do, you and Xiao Mo go home first, go home and do your homework, don't run around, do you hear me? He is. Cough, I'll tell you when I get home, come home soon, good boy. After speaking, he opened the door and got into the car, and met Fu Nanli's gaze with a smile. You haven't recovered yet, go back to the hospital. Drive. Fu Nanli gave simple instructions. The new driver was a middle-aged man in his 40s and 50s. He looked calm and said little, and immediately started the engine. Wen Qiao waved to Wen Qi outside the window, and the car drove away slowly. My brother doesn't know about our relationship. The man suddenly made a sound. When facing him, Wen Qiao had to pay 120,000 points of attention. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 24. My good friend Lu Yuyu knows, Wen Qi doesn't, and neither does my family. Why? The light at dusk travels through the shade of the plane tree, flickering on and off in the carriage. The sharp-edged face is like a sculpture, mysterious and unpredictable, and people can't take their eyes off it. Because my mother thought I was still young and wanted me to concentrate on my studies, I didn't dare to tell my family, but only told my best friend. The man nodded, accepting her statement. Wen Qiao breathed a sigh of relief. Telling lies every day and being frightened will shorten your life? When she was free, she really had to study whether leaving Fu Nanli's side would really put her life in danger. Maybe it's just a bug after respawn. What followed was a long silence. The man beside him was very reticent. Even if he took the time to attend her performance, he didn't seem to be very enthusiastic to chat with her right now. Wen Qiao didn't dare to speak casually because she was afraid of making too many mistakes. When the car turned a corner, her body fell slightly towards him, and her limbs touched and collided with each other. Her big and generous hands gently supported her, and Wen Qiao quickly grabbed the door handle. "Thank you for coming to my show today." Without him sending flowers, Sulu didn't know how to secretly show her superiority in front of her. He held her hand, gently placed it on his lap knees, and caressed unconsciously. Lovers shouldn't need to be so clear. There was a pleasant smell of sea salt mixed with a faint smell of tobacco on his body. In the cramped carriage, the smell enveloped her, making her unable to hide. When she met Fu Nanli, her mind was always in chaos. The girl responded softly. Her cheeks were flushed by the setting sun, her wrists were white and tender. From the earlobe to the slender neck, the thin blue veins were visible to the naked eye, and she was so beautiful that it made people breathe disorderly. His slender fingers pressed the window switch, opened a crack, and the midsummer evening wind rushed into the car. He just held her hand in his palm all the time. Even though it was so hot, his palm didn't sweat. It was always warm and dry, a reassuring temperature. Wen Qiao couldn't stand the long silence, so she had nothing to say and said, "When will you go around?" "Mid-July." Wen Qiao was a little surprised. "Aren't you going to rest for a while? So soon?" "It's the end of June, with such a serious car accident, only half a month's rest? People who are better than you work harder than you. Is the rich man so dedicated?" "I'm not used to being idle." It was still concise and to the point. Wen Qiao nodded. "Boss, the boss I admire." Fu Nanli became interested. "Is this what you call me?" "Yeah, look, I've always called you Big Brother." Wen Qiao took out her mobile phone, clicked on WeChat, and the note on it was Big Brother. "By the way, I accidentally let him see the chat records to show that the chat records of the two are correct. She has done everything in such small details. It seems that she is really good at being a liar. Today I have mastered another useless specialty." Fu Nanli nodded. "Yes." The car stopped at the entrance of the hospital, and the vehicle scanning system scanned it, and the lifting rod was slowly raised, and the car entered the inpatient department compound, and just stopped. There was a person standing in front of the car, bypassing the car body, and said anxiously, "Mr. Fu, I have something very important to tell you. You were cheated by that Wen Qiao." A magnitude 8 earthquake hit Wen Qiao's pupil. "Isn't that Lin Mingxu? Did she find out something?" Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 25. Fu Nanli straightened his suit. His brows and eyes were slightly depressed, and he was very annoyed by this woman who wanted to pretend to be his girlfriend. He got out of the car, and seemed to be going around the car to open the door for Wen Qiao. Wen Qiao had already got out of the car in a hurry, ran to him, and took his arm. In Lin Mingxu's eyes, it was really dazzling. It is said that Mr. Fu has a physical barrier, and no one can get close to him, but now he has repeatedly made an exception because of this girl. This little liar actually tricked the Fu family. He was so daring. Let's see if she didn't skin her in front of Fu Nanli today. Fu Nanli pressed the little hand in his arm, turned a blind eye to Lin Mingxu, and went directly to the inpatient building. Lin Mingxu was about to go forward, but was stopped by his driver. "Miss, please don't harass our husband." Mr. Fu, this girl named Wen Xiao is not your girlfriend at all. She has bad intentions. Every time he took a step, Wen Xiao's heart trembled a little, and he raised his eyes to secretly look at Fu Nanli's expression. His side face was expressionless, without any emotional ups and downs. It should be, that he didn't take Lin Mingshi's words to heart. She has a boy she likes, and that boy's name is Zhuang Yan, the young master of the dealer. You should have heard of it. Lin Mingshi yelled outside. The man's jawline suddenly tightened. Even though he had only seen it a few times, Wen Xiao could clearly know that this expression indicated that he was not very happy. There were people coming and going in the lobby of the inpatient department, and the air conditioning from the central air conditioning poured down on Wen Xiao's neck. Goosebumps developed on Wen Xiao's neck. The man grabbed his hands tightly and entered the elevator. There were not many people in the elevator, but she was still pulled into a corner by the man, leaning on the elevator wall with one hand, looking down at her. Wen Xiao looked up at him with an innocent look. Who is Zhuang Yan? Wen Xiao's voice was like a mosquito. He's my classmate. So, you and him. From time to time, other people in the elevator sneaked a look at the two handsome people in the corner. Wen Xiao took his hand, her tone was coquettish, and her voice was soft. I was ignorant and pursued him before. Fu Nanli felt sour from his chest all the way to his throat. He reached out and unbuttoned two buttons. His voice and eyes were gloomy. Pursued. When the elevator reached the 16th floor, Wen Xiao pointed to the number on it, and whispered, "We're here." The man grabbed her by the wrist and took her to the ward. When Uncle Li saw him, he was relieved. "Master, I can't find you everywhere. You are still injured. Where did you go? Get out." Uncle Li looked aggrieved. "I go out. The young master who was kind to him in the past is gone forever, and now he has become a big iceberg, often showing him bad faces. Uncle Li is very tired." The door was gently closed, and only Wen Xiao and Fu Nanli were left in the ward. Seeing the man's livid face, Wen Xiao felt panicked. Lin Mingshi's movements were really fast, and Zhuang Yan was found so quickly. Now I am very grateful to Zhuang Yan for not accepting her confession. The man took off his suit and threw it aside. The sleeves of his shirt were rolled up one by one, the lines from his wrist bones were smooth, full of sexual tension. He was sitting on a high-grade leather sofa, his long legs were crossed, and the veins on his forehead were throbbing. What do you mean by pursuing? That was last year, and I haven't met you yet. I met you later, and after I met you, I realized, what is Zhuang Yan? Why am I so ignorant? How ridiculous I was before, and I reflect on it every day. I am really a girl who has never seen the world. These few compliments had obvious effects. His face was not so cold anymore. So Zhuang Yan refused. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 26. Wen Xiao nodded. Well, he is not as tall as you, not as handsome as you, he is not good to me. I am completely blind. After you appeared, in my eyes, in my heart, in my world, only you alone. God, if she talks nonsense every day, will she be struck by thunder? She spoke slowly, looked into his eyes, and had a sincere and solemn expression, a face that made people careless. Fu Nanli responded lightly. Wen Xiao said softly again, who hasn't clicked on it yet, right? Fu Nanli. He didn't have a past, he only remembered that he was only focused on his flying career, and he probably didn't have any love history. He was actually compared by a 19-year-old high school student in terms of emotional experience. If he said it, he might make the little girl make fun of him, so he could only pretend to be indifferent. Yeah. Wen Qiao felt aggrieved again and said, "There are too many people who like you, and there will definitely be an endless stream of people who deliberately smear me in the future. You said you only believed in me, you can't back on your word. Anyway, 19 years old is a good age to act coquettishly, and relying on his face, he should be quite invincible." Fu Nanli breathed heavily, and clasped her hand tightly. "Yes." There was a knock on the door, and Su Shen and Zhao Yuan came in together. He was greeted by the expressionless face of their pilot again. He seemed to have come at an untimely time. "Captain, all the staff of our crew have just finished flying to Munich, and we are here to visit you together." Wen Qiao whispered to his ear and said, "Aren't you angry?" Breathing in the ears, Fu Nanli's breathing was out of rhythm, and he didn't speak, but his expression was no longer ugly. Wen Qiao's ability to detect words and emotions gradually improved over the past few days, so she pulled her hand away. "Then I'll go out first. Maybe they still have to discuss work matters, which can be regarded as aviation secrets, and it is not appropriate for her to be present alone." When passing by the door, I saw 5 or 6 stewardesses with beautiful looks and exquisite makeup who hadn't had time to change their uniforms, and 2 tall captains. Passing by the most beautiful one among them, the girl looked back at her, held Zhao Yuan, and whispered, "Sister Yuan, who is she?" Zhao Yuan said softly, "The captain's girlfriend." He Qian's face suddenly darkened, her fingertips trembled, and the smile on her face was a little stiff. "What are you joking about? How could our captain have a girlfriend?" Zhao Yuan covered her mouth with her index finger. "Don't discuss personal matters for now. Su Shen wants to report on the flight situation this time and the captain's go-around in the future." Su Shen was reporting, "Currently, there are 72 daily flights from Dongpu Airport to Munich, including 4 direct flights. Because you, the captain, were injured and stopped working, some of them were allocated to other airlines. At present, I and our team and all the staff are now scattered in groups B to F, and they will be reunited after you recover and return to work, the captain. After you recover, the Air Traffic Management Bureau stipulates that you will be the first co-pilot for 1 month. At that time, your captain will be Captain Cheng. Captain Cheng will give you an assessment, and if you pass the assessment, you will be able to fully resume work." Fu Nanli nodded, "Understood. That's all about work. Everyone is worried about you. They came to visit you just after the flight." Fu Nanli said indifferently, "There is nothing to worry about. I went to see my girlfriend's performance this afternoon. Go back and rest." He Qian walked over holding a bouquet of flowers. "Captain, I hope you recover soon." Fu Nanli said indifferently, "Leave it alone." No face was given to her. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 27. Does Auntie know about your injury? He Qian's mother is the founder of Yuelan Group, the largest cosmetics company in China. She is a real rich and famous lady. She condescended to become a small stewardess in Dongchuan Airlines, all for the sake of pursuing Fu Nanli. But Fu Nanli is like an ice cube, he doesn't seem to have any emotions and desires at all. In the past 3 years, even though they were on the same crew, he and her had very little conversation. Fu Nanli clicked his tongue lightly, as if he was displeased with her meddling. Uncle Li hurriedly said, "My wife is abroad, and the young master said it was only a minor injury, so I don't need to tell her, it will only increase her worry." He Qian clasped her fingers, a little embarrassed, because Fu Nanli had no intention of chatting with her at all, and the meaning of chasing customers was obvious. He has always been so indifferent and alienated, and because she cared about it, she was chaotic, and she didn't dare to act rashly at all, for fear of making him unhappy and being sentenced out of the game. So the two got along as colleagues in a lukewarm relationship for 3 years. Moreover, she has always been aloof, and feels that in the entire company, only her looks and family background are worthy of Fu Nanli. She has always sneered at those diligent stewardesses. She even imagined that Fu Nanli might take the initiative to pursue her. But now, Fu Nanli suddenly had a girlfriend without warning. This was like a thunderbolt on a sunny day, knocking her out of control and throwing her into a mess. As the chief flight attendant, Zhao Yuan has followed Fu Nanli for 4 years and knows him best. Seeing his frown, she knew that he was a little impatient, so she quickly grabbed He Jian. "Captain, take a good rest, we are waiting for you to come back." A group of people retreated slowly. Beside the coffee vending machine in the inpatient department, He Jian's face turned pale. She is a daughter of a famous family, her vision has always been vicious, as if she is wearing an X-ray scanner. Just by looking at the girl who just passed by, you will know the price of her whole body. It is a luxury brand, and the total of her whole body will not exceed 2,000 yuan. It's not that she is prejudiced, top luxury and street stalls are not compatible if they stand together. "Sister Yuan, isn't this true?" He Jian reluctantly took a sip of instant coffee, but still couldn't recover. Zhao Yuan shrugged, "I didn't say that. Didn't you hear what the captain said just now? He's fine. He went to see his girlfriend's performance in the afternoon." "Yes, is there?" As soon as she saw Fu Nanli, her mind went blank, and she couldn't hear what he said at all. After being in love for 3 years without getting a look from Fu Nanli, that girl was actually recognized by him. Who the hell is she? Zhao Yuan patted her on the shoulder. "There are so many people chasing you, you don't actually have to hang on a tree, don't you think?" He Jian's hand holding the paper cup couldn't help trembling. How could those people be compared with Fu Nanli? No one in the world can compare to Fu Nanli. Seeing her embarrassed expression, Zhao Yuan couldn't say anything to comfort her. After Wen Qiao left the hospital, she took the bus home and got off at the alley. She carried her piano bag and walked to the convenience store where her mother worked. She couldn't wait to tell her mother the good news. In the distance, by the side of the camphor tree, she saw a silver BMW Mini parked in front of the convenience store, and it was Zhong Hui who got out of the car. The sensor door of the convenience store opened automatically, and she walked in gracefully. With the thought in mind, Wen Qiao quickened her pace and ran over. "Thank you for your rewards and votes, continue to ask for recommendation votes, love you cute. 29 on the new book list, keep going. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 28. Suyun is checking the expired status of sandwiches, rice balls and some milk in the freezer. The supermarket teacher is 2 years younger than her. He is 40 this year. His name is Ji Mingyuan, and he has always taken care of her. "Sister Su, the shelf life of these is until tomorrow morning, take them back to the children to eat at night. There are some foods in the store that are about to expire." Ji Mingyuan will ask Suyun to take them back for the children to eat. Suyun is about to speak. "It's still so poor." A teasing voice came from behind. Suyun turned her head and saw Zhong Hui, her ex-husband's current wife. Zhong Hui was full of jewels, jade bracelets and emerald rings. She was wearing the latest Chanel suit, and she was wearing a Hermes limited edition crocodile leather bag, which cost 400,000 yuan each. In comparison, Suyun was much more shabby, with a cotton shirt, khaki wide-leg pants, and a wine-red plaid apron over it. After a busy day, her hair was a little messy. "What's up?" Suyun clenched the rag in her hand and looked at Zhong Hui. Zhong Hui glanced at the oden cooking next to the cashier, and covered her nose with her hands. Her dislike was clear at a glance. It was as if she was born in a wealthy family, never struggled at the bottom, never entered a small convenience store on the street. She completely forgot that before she became Wen Jianmin's secretary, she lived in an old-fashioned tube house with 1 bedroom, 1 living room and the kitchen in the corridor. Zhong Hui said lightly, Suyun, I really underestimated you. You are still so coquettish despite your age. Why, with your face now, can you only take advantage of these small advantages? The bread that is about to expire milk. Are you being too picky? Zhonghui looked at Suyun with contemptuous and explicit eyes. Ji Mingyuan burst out angrily, you woman, what nonsense are you talking about? Zhonghui snorted lightly, isn't it? Suyun, you have a brilliant move. With one hand, you seduce your boss, and with the other hand, you make your daughter ask Jianmin for money. You don't let go of either side. You have a lot of ambition. Wen Qiao, who came in a hurry, picked up a bottle of rock sugar pears from the shelf, unscrewed the cap, and poured water directly over Zhonghui's head. Chanel suits and Hermes limited edition bags were all ruined by her. Zhonghui screamed, ah, my bag. After talking about protecting the bag in her arms, her true nature was revealed at the critical moment. Would a real rich family care about a mere limited bag? Ji Mingyuan laughed unceremoniously, but Suyun looked worried. Wen Qiao finished pouring a whole bottle of rock sugar Sydney, and threw the empty bottle on the ground heavily. Only then did Zhonghui turn around and saw that it was Wen Qiao. Are you crazy? Do you know how much this bag costs? If it's broken, can you afford it? Wen Qiao flicked her hair, my daughter caused trouble, then let me pay the bill. Go back and cry with Wen Jianmin, let him buy you another one. Look, you are crying, isn't it a crocodile leather bag worth hundreds of thousands? It will make you appear that you are not rich at all, not like a wealthy lady, you know. Zhonghui fumbled out of her bag for a pack of tissues, wiped off the sticky drink on her face in embarrassment. Her hair was all tied together, and the customers who came to buy things pointed and discussed in a low voice. She had never been so embarrassed. She transferred her anger to Suyun, no wonder you were kicked out by the Wen family and raised such a vulgar girl. You really contributed a lot also, you divorced Jianmin. How dare you instigate this girl, to ask for money? And even the lion asked for 2 million. Suyun was a little shocked. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 29. Wen Qiao's eyes were cold, since you are legally illiterate, I will give you some popular science. Wen Jianmin will buy you hundreds of thousands of bags, and 200,000 yuan of pianos for your unrelated daughter. Wen Qi and Wen Mo and I are his sons and daughters, is the person he should bear the obligation to support, and he should spend the money. You come to trouble my mother. This is called picking quarrels and provoking trouble. Next time, we will see you in court. Zhonghui's hair was still dripping with rock sugar pears. She knew that Wen Qiao was a wolf cub. If you go down, you may suffer a big loss. The outside is strong and the inside is dry, and the next sentence is it's a bad bunch of mothers, there is no good thing. Wen Qiao picked up a cup of coffee from the cash register, splashed it all over her face. The coffee still had some heat remaining, so hot that Zhonghui yelled, you. Wen Qiao said coldly, aren't you going to get out? Zhonghui escaped from the convenience store in a panic. Wen Qiao turned her head and saw her mother's face was ugly. Her mother had always been mild-tempered and kind-hearted. She was right, she was the one who grew up savagely. But if she is not savage, she will only be bullied. In this life, she doesn't want to be bullied. As soon as Zhonghui left, Wen Qiao put away all her sharp claws, and turned into that well-behaved girl again, walked up to Suyun, and called her softly, Mom, Uncle Ji. Ji Mingyuan hurriedly said, Sister Su, go back with Qiao first, I will pack your things for you. When Ji Mingyuan was packing his things, Suyun had already pulled Wen Qiao out of the convenience store. It took 10 minutes to walk home from the convenience store. During this journey, Soo-yoon didn't speak. Her upbringing prevented her from teaching children outside on the main road. At the door of the house, in the small yard, when she and when Mo were doing their homework at the old elm table. When Mo covered his mouth and coughed lightly, as if he had a cold. When she saw Wen Xiao and was about to step forward, but Wen Xiao stopped him with a look. Wen Xiao was pulled into the room by Soo-yoon. "Tell me, what's going on?" Wen Xiao gently put down the piano bag, and uncomfortably straightened her hair. "What's going on? Why do you ask your father for money?" Soo-yoon's voice trembled, her eyes were also red. "Why can't I have it? He is our father in the legal sense. He has 3 children. He has a duty to support us. This is the money he should pay." Soo-yoon had tears in her eyes. "Wen Xiao, what about your self-esteem? Don't you want your own dignity? Don't you want your mother's dignity? We should live with dignity. Mom, you can't exchange Wen Chai Wenmo's health for your meaningless self-esteem, you can't just care about yourself." As soon as the words fell, I saw Soo-yoon's tears streaming out violently. Wen Xiao's heart trembled. She knew that what she said was serious, and she wanted to hold her mother's hand, but Soo-yoon pushed her hand away and walked outside. Wen Xiao's heart was twisted like a knife. Mom, I didn't mean that, Mom, I said the wrong thing." Soo-yoon wiped her tears indiscriminately, and said in a suppressed voice, "I went to the fruit shop to buy some pears for Xiao Mo to stew. He has been coughing for 2 days. After speaking, he ran out." Wen Xiao tapped her head angrily. Why can't she speak out of her head at all? The light in the yard dimmed, when she came over biting the pen holder, and said cautiously, "What's wrong?" When Mo also looked at her worriedly. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 30. Wen Xiao patted Wen Qi on the shoulder. "It's okay, go into the room and turn on the light to write. The light is dim and it's not good for eyesight." After finishing speaking, Wen Xiao also went out. Outside the door was the small alley on King Shivan Road. Wen Xiao walked outside, and at the corner of the green brick courtyard wall, she heard the sound of sobbing. She didn't dare to go any further and just leaned against the wall. Mom squatted in the corner and cried secretly. Mom also cries, and when Mom is vulnerable, she also needs someone to rely on. Soo-yoon's crying was very low and depressing. After a while, Wen Xiao heard the sound of footsteps going away, and the adults vented their emotions. It only lasted about 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I secretly found a corner, cried for a while, and then faced the real life again. When Soo-yoon came back, it was raining outside. She was carrying a plastic bag with 4 pears in it, a handful of bananas with black spots and a few apples. Wen Xiao quickly took a towel and went up to help her mother wipe her hair. Soo-yoon's eye circles were still red, and she said softly, "Eat bananas. I'll go to the kitchen and cook pears for Xiao Mo." Wen Xiao followed her mother like a little tail into the kitchen. The rain outside kept falling. Soo-yoon was peeling the skin by the pot. Wen Xiao whispered, "Mom, I'm sorry." Soo-yoon shook her head. "I'm sorry for making your life so difficult." Wen Xiao felt even more guilty. Her mother tried her best to let the 3 siblings live a life no worse than that of ordinary families. Even though money was always tight, her mother enrolled her in people lessons, just because she had the talent in this area, and because she thought it would be good for a girl to learn some musical instruments. "Mom, even if we haven't looked for Wen Jianmin for so many years, he never thought we had self-esteem and looked at us with high regard. He would not have the slightest sympathy when he saw that we were in a difficult life. We did this to move ourselves. It doesn't make any sense, do you understand what I'm saying?" Soo-yoon put the pears on the steamer of the soup pot, filled the bottom with water, turned on the gas stove, and glanced at her. "He is your father, don't call him by name." You asked me to treat him as a father, but he never treated us as his children. He ignored us for 11 years, even if it was just to make him unhappy. I have to ask for this money. Soo-yoon opened her mouth, saw the determination in her daughter's eyes, and lowered her hands. Mom is just worried that you will be hurt. Jeon Huanang succeeded as a secretary, so she must have deep thoughts. The daughter she brought here, Sulu, is also a caring little girl. Chiao Chiao has always been a straightforward child. How could he mess with that mother and daughter? When Chiao held her mother's hand tightly, I will protect myself, I will protect you and your brothers. Soo-yoon finally compromised. Talk to your dad carefully. If you really can't get it, then forget it. Mom will find a way to earn more money, huh? Wen Xiaoyang nodded obediently. Well said. Non-existent. For people like Wen Jianmin, if they don't cry when they see the coffin, she can't talk to him properly. After half an hour, the stewed pears with rock sugar were ready. Soo-yoon filled a large bowl and brought it into the living room. Xiao Mo, come and drink the soup. Compared with Wen Mo is thinner and fairer, sitting at the dining table, drinking pear juice obediently. Wen Xiao touched his forehead. If you still cough tomorrow, go to the hospital. Wen Mo nodded. Turning his head, Wen Qi had already put aside his homework and went to play games on the computer. There are 2 computers in their house, one desktop and one laptop, both of which were brought back by Wen Mo. He said they were the prizes he won in the Weibo lottery. The smartphones of their 3 brothers and sisters were all won by Wen Mo. Now Wen Qiao is a little suspicious. Is this kid so lucky? Thank you for your support. Continue to ask for recommendation tickets. Recommendation tickets are very important.